I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. Still moving. Gonna be doing this a long time, but I'm gonna try and break it up into little clips so that it's not every day me doing the same thing. I did manage to get one rack assembled, this old gray rack sitting there. I got one more shelf to put on. And I'm running into something that a little bit of planning probably would have made easier. But what I did is I put up a rack on the wall, and I said, oh, that's nice, that'll cover putting things up there so that I can have a place to put them. But then I realized that I really wanted to have this gray rack at the end of the black rack over there. And I want to have the workbench underneath there, because the things that I use on the workbench, I want to put some of them on that rack, because the rack over the top of the workbench is going to be convenient and nice, but it's always going to be a reach with a ladder kind of thing. And this gray rack is something that I can reach just by walking over to and picking things off of it. So that means I've got to put another one of these pieces that I've got here on the wall over here and move the stuff down so I can have it more this way, because this area is not going to be used as much right now. It would have made better sense to have the rack moved down there to start with. But, you know, I'm one guy doing what I can do. I can't think of everything. So sometimes the thing that I think at the moment is the right thing to do is the wrong one, which means do-overs, rework, and I hate rework. So, going forward, I'm not going to monkey with that shelf today. My goal today is to move the bench from the garage out here. I've said that how many days now? Probably you could go back and count them up. It's got to be at least 8. Hopefully today I get it done. But in the meantime, I'm going to be moving other things which are in the way of moving the workbench. I have to unload the workbench, bring all this stuff out here, find a place to put it, and have it someplace so it's not just piled up in the center of the floor. I've already got enough of that going, and I don't want to have to deal with it all the time. Moving things multiple times is just a waste of effort. So we're going to go forward doing the best we can do. Well, so much for that idea. As you can see, I have a dead battery. So I'm going to hook the thing up to the charger, and we're going to have to wait a while. But you guys won't. I'm just going to clip and go away from it and come back. Well, we're off and running again, so back on the business of moving the bench.
the last big piece that had to come out before I could get to the bench is the Foley bell saw grinder. And it is now happily ensconced out in the annex. A little bit of doing, but tractor picked it up, hauled it out there, no problem.
Well, the grinder's moved. Now we go to get the bench. Tractor's in place. Now I gotta drag the bench out. I gotta unload a few things off the top first. But we're getting close. We're getting close. Most of this stuff will probably be all right sitting on top of the bench, at least as far as taking it over to the tractor. But I have a nice flat spot to put things, so I'm just going to unload it over here. Hope we can drag this thing. More than likely it's extremely heavy because I built it solid. Lasted 13 years carrying a lot of weight, so solid's not bad.
This may look like a hoarder's shed, and there is some resemblance. But what happened is I wanted to move the garden shed, which was the blacksmith shed, and I had all the blacksmithing equipment and anything else that was needed to finish off the blacksmithing shop in the blacksmithing shop. That meant wire, paneling, boards, just equipment up the wazoo, hammers, tools, all kinds of things. So I just unloaded it and put it in the garage thinking I was going to have the shed moved and I'd put it all away in the workshop, in the annex. Well, you saw how that worked. Everything's taken 10 times longer than it should. So the stuff has sat in the garage now for about 3 months. It's getting really hard to move around in there. It's going to be nice having some of the stuff, even if I don't get it all, some of the stuff out of there so I can walk through the garage. I want to park the truck back inside. Haven't been able to do that for quite a long time.
Okay, let's see if we can move this thing. Piece of cake. Lights a feather. Oh, that back wall hadn't seen daylight for 10 years or more. Get the lift hooked up to it. Okay, let's lift this up, see if we can move it. Just did a nice job keeping it from swinging. Thing I didn't want to have happen is for this to take off swinging and hit the ground. Didn't want it to catch and flip. There we go. Despite my best efforts, looks like everything gets moved more than once. Sometimes more than I want to think about it.
No, that's the bench dragging across the floor. Get your mind out of the gutter.
Something I'm going to have to do, the workbench, is cut it down to fit underneath that rack. And I also have to move the welding bench. But since I have another bench in the workshop now, I can set this one out of the way. Might go back outside. But I can get this bench cut down, get it underneath that rack, and have an actual bench and a place to work here. Because it would be nice to have someplace to work on the things that I'm bringing into here. That way I won't have to rebuild everything before I bring it out here. And that's a sure way to make mistakes. You make it far enough away that you can't see where it goes, and you end up making dumb mistakes like cutting something too small. So this bench, I measure underneath the rack there, get the stuff out of the way, slide this bench underneath the rack, and we should be good. At least I hope so. It would be a lot of work to have it not work. It'll work. When I get done with it, it'll be fine. Doesn't always work first shot out of the gun. Sometimes it takes 20 or 30. But that's why they make extra large magazines, and why they let me work on things at my own pace. If you have any suggestions for new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. I think I've done enough for today. I'm going to go in the house and get supper ready. It's been a long day. Someday when I have time, I'll tell you about today. It was not fun.
This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the U.S. or 16 in the European Union without the express written permission of the parents or the legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.